5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 100, easy left. Into easy right. Easy left minus.
Springtime in Chester, the Vauxhall Rally of Wales back in town. It's round one of the Mobil 1 Top Gear British Rally Championship. And as the cars lined up at the city's racecourse, a buzz of excitement in the air. For the first time, this is exclusively a Formula 2 event. The runners and riders from Vauxhall, David Llewellyn in the Astra, plus the emerging Finnish star, Jarmo Kutuletto. Alistair McRae flies the flag for Nissan in the sunny GTI. Gregoire de Mavius is Nissan's top Formula 2 seed. Ari Mokkonen completes the Nissan trio. In the Renault Clio Williams, Alan Orai, twice World Group N champion. Robbie Head is Renault's local driver. Gwyndaf Evans leads the Ford Challenge, hoping to repeat his Formula 2 success on last year's RAC. Volkswagen are fielding just one works car driven by Tapio Laukkanen on round one. The Scot Dom Buckley will compete in the other rounds. For Peugeot, Martin Rowe was hoping to impress in the new 306. He's the reigning British Group N champion. A famous face from World Rallying got the event underway. Ford's François Delacour, just back from the Portuguese rally, was the first of Ford's world stars to grace this year's British Championship. So this was how day one looked. 208 miles in all, from Chester into traditional Welsh rallying country. 8 special stages, 59 gruelling stage miles.
The real start, and an old favourite four-wheel drive Ford, but a new face. Paediatric nurse Catherine Francois, who would nurse world star Delacour through his first Welsh rally. Alistair McRae was leading a 3-car Nissan Sunny attack on the title. The 24-year-old Scot from the famous family was many pundits' favourite for the championship, but he would of course be under pressure from a new teammate, World Formula 2 ace Gregoire de Mavius. Gwyndaf Evans starred in the RAC rally in the then very new Ford Escort. Many expect Ford to be a front runner. Scotsman Robbie Head was giving the Renault Clio its first taste of British rallying. This would surely be a difficult debut. Manxman Martin Rowe, the reigning British Group N champion, in the new Peugeot. Another flying Finn, Jarmo Kutuletto, Vauxhall's new star in the Astra. It was a grim day for the Higgins brothers. David was literally knocked out on stage 3. Mark had exited a stage earlier with a blown clutch on his Peugeot. Tapio Laukkanen, yes, another Finn, was leading the Volkswagen Challenge in his Golf. The 25-year-old would be hoping for more reliability than last year. He had moved into 4th place in the Formula 2 battle, flinging the Golf around in fine style before his steering arm pulled out on the 4th stage. The signs were good for rally leader François Delacour and Formula 2 leader Alistair McRae in 2nd place when the car stopped in wet and murky Brennig. Ari Mokkonen was very pleased to have the chance to change his sticking gearbox. He'd had to tackle 3 stages with it jammed in 3rd gear. And there was plenty of Welsh support gathering for Gwyndaf Evans, already in 3rd place.
David Llewellyn knew the geography all right, but was making his customary slow start. Frenchman Alan Orai was also cursing this unseasonal weather. The weather was also confusing Ollie Harkey in his Mitsubishi. The Simonite sisters in their Honda Civic were attacking the terrain with real Yorkshire grit.
150. Go on, small jump, 170. Crest. Into fast medium right.
Steve Mantle in the Peugeot was fulfilling his promise by leading the junior category. Scott Bradshaw was one of last year's junior successes. He was going well in his Group N Honda. The drivers had faced a cocktail of British spring weather. They headed for Penmachno.
Okay. What do you think of this weather?
This weather, very nice. It's thunder than raining snow.
You think you're back in Finland, do you?
It came down really heavy in that last stage at the end for us. So, I don't know, it's some narrower tyres, I think, to try and get some grip.
I think this is more like what the RAC should have been. It's definitely not March.
You're going very well. Any problems at all?
No, apart from you standing with the door open getting me covered in snow, it's okay.
Clocainog in the dusk often signals disaster, and Francois Delacour was to be this year's most famous victim. The fault was not the Frenchman's, however. His Ford engine seized as he was building comfortably on a 90-second lead. His departure meant that the battle now belonged to the Formula 2 cars. Gwyndaf Evans had his troubles too. He dropped from 2nd to 6th place when a broken right-hand drive shaft forced him to finish the last 8 miles of a stage at snail's pace. And on the very next stage, the left-hand drive shaft broke. It hadn't been the Welshman's day. Just watch Martin Rowe, really putting the Peugeot through its paces. Despite losing all his lights on one stage, he was 6th overall after the day's 8 special stages. But then his luck really ran out. Cruelly on the road back to Chester, he was halted by a blown head gasket. Exit one very disenchanted Manxman.
Left 3 narrow, right 3, 40 crest into turn, left 8 over hole.
The Welsh Forest also put the mockers on Harry Mockingham. He rolled off the road on a flat-out section. Robbie Head was completing a good day's drive in the Clio. He was 9th overall, quite a performance. Let's watch him at work in this important new French entry into the championship.
And left 4, 130. Caution, long right 3.
Perhaps Robbie was benefiting from the guidance of a very famous co-driver, 54-year-old Terry Harriman, whom we remember from his glory days with Harry Vatanen. Was he enjoying himself?
Apart from the weather, immensely. The weather's not very nice, but I suppose it's sort of typical for this part of the world at this time of the year. Car's good. We've had a bit of a problem with the alternator, but apart from that, it's very good for first time out.
So what do you think of Robbie's driving?
Well, the penultimate rally I did back in '89, I did with him Autoglass Tour, and he was driving a Honda, and I was very impressed with him now, and he's a very talented lad.
How are you finding it working with this team where nearly everybody speaks French, all the mechanics particularly?
It does become a little bit of a problem when there is an emergency, but they seem to know what they're doing okay, that's for sure, so no problem.
You know what French is? Alternator broken.
Alternator capute, maybe, or something. Perhaps.
Rachel Simonite had some warm praise to hand out to big sister Stephanie, having her first works drive.
Oh, we're flying today, yeah. Car's going really well, but we didn't have any lights in the last stage, so we dropped quite a bit of time in there. A few hairy moments when she's not listening to the notes, but yeah, she's driving really well. We're chuffed to bits. The stages are rough, but not quite as rough as they were in the RAC. The Clochainog stages were really nice, really enjoyed those, but Pen Macno was a bit rough. Few bad holes in there to watch out for, and a lot of people have come off. They're dropping like flies, so...
Talking of flies, Alistair McRae was really flying at Clochainog West. Despite a faulty tailgate catch, he was 15 seconds faster than Gregoire de Mavius, his closest challenger.
Into easy right minus, into easy left minus, and easy right minus, into easy left minus, care 80, medium right on crest, open K left, into open K left, into medium right minus, 130.
Alistair would finish today with a happy half-minute overall lead. But the Nissan hopes of a 1-2 were being thwarted by this man, Ollie Harkey in his Mitsubishi Lancer. David Llewellyn led the Astra attack. The reigning Formula 2 champion was lying 4th overall.
We had a bit of a moment on that last stage actually. We went, I don't know whether we were catching Martin Rowe, but on a hairpin we caught his lights coming the other way and I just lost concentration for a minute and we just went very wide on a corner into a ditch and we scrabbled out a bit. It was a bit hard to stop and I'm glad there was nothing in there. But our times are reasonable. I mean, you know, we seem to be roughly about the pace of the leaders. I mean, Alistair's been going quite well in the dark.
You must be very pleased. You're not only leading the Formula 2 section, but in the lead of the rally.
I knew we were leading Formula 2, but I didn't realise we were leading the rally, so I mean, our main aim is Formula 2. If we're leading the rally, then that's a bit of a bonus.
The second day took the teams even deeper into Wales and its forests, with Dyfnod the first and last stage of the day. Day 2, at least better weather was forecast. The hills of mid-Wales were soon alive with the sounds of rallying, in particular the throaty roar of Alistair McRae, still leading the rally in his Nissan and looking every inch a potential winner.
Easy right minus on crest, 60, tight K left, tight, 100 down, double caution, medium left, into easy right minus on crest, into square left, 40 down, hairpin right, 100 past junction, medium right, 100.
McRae was fastest on the 4 opening stages of the day. Eat your heart out, brother Colin. The other Nissans were having mixed fortunes, the battered Sally of Ari Mokkonen moving up the field, but Gregoire de Mavius was forced out with gearbox problems. Another Finn in the wars, Ollie Harkey in his Mitsubishi. He sent the marshals scattering with his driving. He was still leading Group N4. Jarmo Cutuletto's Vauxhall was in the top 4 in the opening stages, much to the delight of his travelling Finnish fans. Teammate David Llewellyn, in typical fashion, was having a much better second day. His Astra impressed, 3rd fastest on the 3 opening stages.
We've had no real problems. Cars running very well. The stages are very dry and very hard, so we've opted for a little bit wider tyre now to go back into these stages for the second time. So fingers crossed that's the right decision. Jarmo is just behind us, literally 5 or 6 seconds. So you know, there's obviously a bit of pressure from behind, and of course Gwyndaf is also coming quickly up from behind as well. So it's a fair bit of pressure on.
The hardy rally enthusiasts always enjoy a sight of the local boy made good, Gwyndaf Evans duly obliged, on his home territory. He'd had a disappointing first day, but was now getting into the swing of things despite some drive shaft problems. The Ford Escort of Chris Mellors was the remaining Group A four-wheel drive car left in the rally. After Delacour's departure, he was setting top 10 times. Meanwhile, the Renault Clio of Alan O'Reilly was now more at home in the better weather. The Frenchman 9th overall.
Droite moyen étroit, bosse. 80 mètres gauche très bon. Sur droite bon long. Et gauche moyen.
It was all going well too for Renault teammate Robbie Head. He was holding on to 8th position, but sometimes rallying giveth and it taketh away. Just round the corner, his engine had seized. Robbie's rally was over. Other cars like Sweden's Krista Steen passed by. The Scotsman remained stoical.
Well, it just seems to be the engine has seized. We came out the hairpin there and just was changing up the gear and it just stopped instantly, so the car wouldn't turn over. I presume there's some oil leaking out of it. It looks fairly terminal anyway. So.
Other drivers looked on sympathetically. Richard Burns, the 1993 British champion, knew that feeling. So did the great Roger Clark, now 55, and rallying in a Subaru Impreza, still enjoying the sport after all those years.
Well, I've never driven Group A, and I haven't driven a four-wheel drive for about 10 years, so it's all a learning curve for me, and it's quite interesting.
What do you think of the general rallying scene now compared to, when you were really in your heyday? How is it?
I don't think it's changed an awful lot. It's still good fun. Obviously the machinery's got a lot more technical, and but whether it's made the sport any better, I don't know. Otherwise, the circus seems to be the same sort of thing.
And the people?
Oh, still see a few faces I remember.
One face worth remembering is another great rally character, Mad Mick Jones. He was one of the few four-wheel drive battlers to distinguish himself. Julian Reynolds dominated his Group N class in the handy Honda Civic, winning it by over 5 minutes, but it hadn't all been plain sailing.
Yeah, just taking our time. We've had a few very small problems. The last stage we did, we had 3 of the brakes failed and we only had 1 brake. But we're far enough ahead that things like that don't matter. We're just getting by.
Edwin Gregory and his Clio must have felt like Nicole being chased by Papa as Richard Warts tried to hustle by. Another tailgate problem. Believe it or not, this was a battle for 90th place. There's keenness for you. Mark Blair from Matlock, a former karting star. One of the many hopefuls doing battle in an exciting new series, the Peugeot Juniors. It's a bold initiative to boost a junior championship. How important a step is this to help budding drivers?
Oh, it's very important. It's sort of, I think any junior driver, it's a stepping stone to a way forward in their career. Anybody who wants to get to the top, it's the obvious way forward.
The chase was really on as the competitors reached Dovey. Traffic jams like this really proved the closeness of the competition. Jane Gunningham has won ladies' awards in Middle East rallying. This was a far cry from the desert, but she was really full of praise for her Peugeot 306.
They're absolutely superb. They are just give it death all the way, and I'm absolutely loving it. They're so much more smooth as well. Just the car's so much more suited to it, and we're just having a brilliant time. Hell, it's a good car.
But how good is this one? This is Mockinon's taped up special. Alistair was happy.
The car's running 100%, tyres are working well, so it's just really down to the driver.
We've been talking to Gwyndaf Evans and to David Llewellyn and Yamo Cataletto. They're all going to go faster this second time into Dovey and all these stages. Are you?
Well, they'll need to go quicker if they want to keep up.
So it was all set for a thrilling finale in mid-Wales, with the cars returning to Garthainog and Duffy for the second time. McRae was as good as his word, a controlled drive, but he was still setting a cracking pace for the others to follow. Certainly Mark Lawn in the Astra was feeling pleased with himself, 10th overall in his privateer Vauxhall. Ninth spot belonged to the dashing Frenchman Alan O'Reilly in the Renault Clio.
Et Boss saute sur droite. Et à droite, Eker ouvre. Sur droite, moyen, bon, serré. 40 mètres gauche.
Belfast Philip Young went one better to take 7th position in his Escort. He was second in the Group N Production Cup. Not such a happy predicament for Mark Blair in the Peugeot. He was leading the junior category when his hopes went up in smoke, literally. So Andrew Wheatley, a 24-year-old law student, was left to pick up the Peugeot Junior Honours. Jane Gunningham was the rally's top woman driver after the Simonite sisters came to grief in Duffy. At 20, her future's as bright as her car. The Honda Works driver Julian Reynolds from Wales took the Group N amateur category. Home from home, really. And Steve Green, a car dealer from Leicester, was the Class A6 category winner. But surely he doesn't give test drives like this. Chris Mellors, with 20 years' experience, used all his cunning to finish 6th overall, the best placed of the four-wheel drive entries. David Llewellyn had a real battle with fellow Welshman Gwyndaf Evans. On the final stage, Llewellyn was leading by just 2 seconds. But Gwyndaf, after removing his spare wheel and jack, nipped into 4th spot ahead of Llewellyn. Another highly competitive performance by the Welshman. Gwyndaf, minus his accessories, was clocked at 118 miles an hour on this final stage. Third spot belonged to the fast-improving Jarmo Cutoletto in the Vauxhall Astra. What a performance for the Finn on his British debut. And another Finn enjoyed his Welsh outing too. Ollie Harkey in the Mitsubishi Lancer grabbed 2nd position. But no one could halt the charge of Nissan's Alistair McRae. The Scot was the outstanding performer on show. The Vauxhall Rally of Wales was Alistair's first international victory, another accolade for Britain's premier rallying family.
To some people's surprise, the first championship battle of the new season saw a Formula 2 car take overall victory with Alistair McRae at the wheel. But the Scot had to fight off the Scandinavians, with Ollie Harkey 2nd and Jarmo Cutoletto 3rd. The Mobil Top Gear Championship battle, for Formula 2 cars only of course, was equally fierce. Behind McRae's Nissan and Cutoletto's Astra, there was a very powerful challenge from Gwyndaf Evans in the Ford and Vauxhall's David Llewellyn, while Alan O'Reilly brought the Clio home 5th. So it's Scotsman McRae who will start the Pirelli International as championship leader, with Cutoletto 2nd and Gwyndaf Evans 3rd. It's going to be tight at the top. What a family hat-trick. Alice's father Jimmy won the event in 1979 and brother Colin in 1992. The young Scot was given a great reception by his team, with special congratulations from team boss Dave Whittock. And co-driver David Senior was a happy man too. very keen to shake the hand of the man who'd given him such a victorious ride. And so, after a great start to the championship, a third member of the McRae family shakes the Welsh champagne.
I'm sure what he would think is a personal best performance.
Forest in Cumbria, one of the world's most daunting rallying arenas. 91 competitors gathered to do battle in the second round of the Mobil 1 Top Gear British Rally Championship, the Pirelli International. They included Alistair McRae and Gwyndaf Evans.
Kielder's one of these places where I don't think you would ever remember it totally, so a bit of caution still, I think.
Former world champion Ari Vatanen had his own views on Kielder.
The big Kielder stages are demanding, they are very long, I mean there's nobody helping you in the middle. I mean you are there on your own, so you better come to the finish, but you don't always do.
The first day would take the challengers north of Carlisle to the border forests, 139 miles, including 7 very varied special stages. The rally began with 2 popular spectator-friendly tests at Carlisle Airport. Johnny Milner took a surprise early lead, fastest on both the tarmac tests. But then it was on into the forests. Ari Vatanen made his name on terrain like this. The 1981 world champion, twice British champion, was soon setting the pace in his four-wheel drive Malcolm Wilson prepared Ford Escort. But though Vatanen was fastest on stage 4, he had to give best at Churdenhead to 2 fellow Finns. Jarmo Kutuletto was fastest in the Vauxhall Astra. The 33-year-old Finnish farmer was showing the spectators the sort of form that had given him 3rd overall spot on his Welsh debut. This had been enough to give him 2nd place in the championship. Could another Finn take our title this year? But the man from Mikkeli, hard-charging Ari Mokkanen, was also in the frame. He too left Vatanen co-trailing at Churdenhead, just 4 seconds slower than Kutuletto after 9.5 miles. Championship leader Alistair McRae was battling his way back at the leaderboard.
Fairly quick, that's it. And then long flat left, continues, 120, caution, easy right plus, double tightens to clay right. Keep it going at the moment, you're all right. Tightens right.
He had to keep it going. He was actually down in 38th place after the airfield tests, but came into his own in the forest to take 6th spot after 4 stages.
Right to here. Keeps going left like this. Still left. And left again. And to medium right plus. Here. Straight 50, medium right plus. All okay, should be flat crest left if anything.
Alistair certainly wasn't hanging about. Just watch the speedometer signal 110 miles per hour.
Goes easy left, minus on the crest. Here.
Gwyndaf Evans in the Rapid Fit Escort was too rapid when he found a tight left-hand forest bend. Let's look at it from the outside.
Gwyndaf, if you copy, gone out of rally, halfway through stage, put it on its roof, over. We're both okay, we are both okay, over. She might actually go, in fact. We're trying to make her go now. This is she. Yeah, she's actually started. Give us a push, boys. We're going that way, we aren't we? Which way are we going? Hey, which way are we going? That way. Push. Come on, boys, push! Come on! Come on! Come on! Let's get some more help. Let's get some more help. Push! Okay. Let's get the belts on. Okay, thanks.
The helping hands did the trick, but why had it happened?
Too fast, possibly, and there was a quick right left, like a little chicane, and it was quite fast, and I thought I'd get away with getting it through nearly flat, and the back just went slightly and caught a stone, and then she just rolled 2 or 3 times.
And are you and Howard okay?
Yes, Ta. Yeah, okay.
How much time have you lost because of it?
I think we lost about 3 minutes. So I mean, if the boys can patch it back together, I mean, maybe we can take it round and pick some points up.
So the popular Welshman had survived his somersault, and amazingly, so had his escort. Gwyndaf would actually finish the day in 12th place overall in his sellotape special.
Meanwhile, Martin Rowe in the Peugeot was getting that déjà vu feeling. In Wales, he'd suffered a blown head gasket. Now it looked like the same problem. Surely lightning couldn't strike twice.
What are they going to be doing now here?
I think they're going to aim to change the head gasket.
And how long will that take?
I have no idea. The boys will do it as fast as they can, and there's nothing more we can do.
So you could still be in the rally then?
Well, I hope so. I'm not going to give up yet.
But the situation wasn't looking good.
Chris, you're in charge of the timekeeping here. How long have you got?
Well, we've been here about 15 minutes. We should have left here now. There's a further 15 minutes lateness, plus an additional 15. That's another half an hour, but that's very heavily penalised. So 25 minutes outside.
So you're going to make it?
I don't know. They're over halfway through the job, so it's potentially we could leave here and still make it to the next control on time. Yeah.
But time ran out for the Peugeot. Martin Rowe's rally ended again in frustration. For Robbie Head in the Renault Clio, it was one long learning curve. The Scot admitted it was taking time to get used to his new car. Conditions didn't help. The stages were narrow and loose. It led to several punctures. But the young man from Ayr stuck doggedly to his task, staying in and around the top 10. The Frenchman Alain Auray was far more comfortable in his Clio, recording some fast times early on, but he was slowed by brake failure on one of the longer stages. For the Clio drivers, it was so far so good, even if the conditions were sometimes tricky.
A lot of slippery small stones that act like marbles, and what happens is the car almost floats across the surface. Very difficult to get grip through the stones. But the last stage was a little bit better. It was maybe 50-50 with stones and then good surface. So we're going a lot better than we were in the Vauxhall Sport.
And how's your French coming along?
Je parle un peu le français et je comprends un peu le français.
David Llewellyn's native tongue is Welsh, and there may have been a few Welsh curses under the breath as he battled in the slippery conditions. On a disappointing day for the Welsh, Llewellyn was about to hit his bad patch.
50 crest, medium left. Bit of puncture. Oh, is it? 70 straight crest, 150.
Well, obviously we'd had a puncture on the rear and it jammed the wheel. And I felt like I drove through the stage with a handbrake on. The back of the car was really sitting down and it was just digging holes with the front wheels. It felt terrible. I didn't know. I kept checking the handbrake, make sure I hadn't left it on, that's what it felt like. So we lost quite a lot of time, and we stopped to change a puncture on the stage before as well. So we lost 3 minutes there as well. So a bit of a disaster at the minute.
They'll kill the strikes again.
That's it. All the stages are so loose, I mean, you can see by Gwyndaf. Gwyndaf's had the odd problem, by the looks of things.
So how far did you drive on that tyre?
I think maybe all states.
So what do you think of Kielder now?
A little bit bad luck.
The Finn retired on special stage 7. Rumour has it was either a fuel gauge fault or a filling error. Another Finn bemoaning his Kielder luck was Ari Mokkonen. He lost a bumper and spoiler after a front tyre puncture. But at least his Nissan was still in the rally despite its problems.
It's the rally of punctures. Have you had those problems?
Only one puncture. Only one puncture. Stage 5.
5,
yes.
And you're going very well, the 3 Nissans now. You're right at the top of the Formula 2 section.
Yes, of course, Nissan is best car.
Long, fast left.
As for Mark Higgins and co-driver Cliff Simmons, their best car vote went to their Peugeot 306. But then even favourite cars have a habit of sometimes misbehaving.
And long, fast right. Left, sorry. Into 45 right, over bridge. Narrows over bridge. 60 left, straight after the bridge. Whoa. Whoops. Gotta be straight ahead, mate. Good lad, good lad.
Kelso's Don Buckley was really gunning his Volkswagen Golf and had forced his way into 6th place until the final stage of the day. Then it all went wrong. Watch that rock.
In the middle of that stage, the car started to jump out of 4th gear, and then towards the end there was a left-hand corner, it was sort of in 4th gear, and it jumped out gear mid-corner and just understeered and stuck in a muddy ditch.
Belfast's Philip Young had set the fastest Group N times on nearly every stage and was a fine 5th overall until the very last Newcastleton stage. And then, just look at that front wheel. Both driver and co-driver clambered out unhurt, and there were plenty of helping hands. But Philip's exceptional drive was over. It was left to co-driver Robbie Philpott to pass on the bad news.
We're off on the stage. The car will not be going any further, and we need a trailer. Over.
Alistair McRae's charge up the leaderboard continued unabated. Rarely out of the top 6 on any Forest stage, he was now 4th overall and 2nd in the Formula 2 fray. But he was having to give best to his teammate Gregoire de Mavius, who was now leading the Scot by just 6 seconds. The 32-year-old Belgian hadn't been looking forward to driving without pace notes, but he hadn't let that slow him.
How have you enjoyed that, Gregoire?
I don't know if it's really enjoying, but it's really hard work because we push, we have to take some risk to stay with the others. So we push, and sometime after the crash is not so much that I thought. So it's quite good anyway.
Sweden's Thomas Abramson was making sure that Vatanen didn't have it all his own way in the four-wheel drive contest. He was challenging the Finn with some very confident driving and some equally impressive times. But the 42-year-old Finnish ace Vatanen returning to the British Championship after 10 years, was nearly 2 minutes in the lead at the end of the day, and he had been fastest on 5 stages. It was quite a change from the desert-style rallying in which he's been starring in recent years.
How are you enjoying that then?
It's started somewhat slowly in the morning. It's because when I come from Tunisian desert, I mean the roads were 500 meters wide, and here they're only 5 meters wide. So I had the feeling of being on a tiptoes. But now it's going better all the time, and weather has turned the usual British one. But no, we have been enjoying. The speed has been getting better all the time.
Well done, thanks, Harry.
Day 2, the tranquil scenery of Kielder and border country, and while some preferred to sail, the drivers knew that another gruelling day lay ahead. The second leg had an early morning start in Carlisle. 191 kilometres were in store, including 4 special stages in Kielder Forest, before an afternoon finish back in Carlisle. Ari Vatanen continued where he left off, setting fastest times on the 2 opening stages of the day. This was meat and drink to the hugely experienced driver. This, the longest stage of the day, 24 miles in all. But sometimes even the experts show they're human. No, this wasn't a Jeremy Beadle video. It was all going to plan for Nissan. They held 3rd, 4th and 5th positions. That is until Ari Mokkonen rolled his car and lost 12 minutes. It dropped him like a stone to 33rd. As for Gregoire de Mavius, things were looking up. He caught Abrahamson to grab 2nd place overall. Teammate Alistair McRae had planned to tuck him right behind him, but then he had brake problems.
So is it all plain sailing this morning, Alistair?
Yeah, we had decided after the first long stage that we'd settle for second in F2. Gregoire would win, we'd be second, but we hoped to stay ahead of Abrahamson. But in that stage there, we've lost our brakes. We had no brakes for half that stage. So we've now dropped, still second in Formula 2, but we've dropped to 4th overall. So just drive through the last 2 stages slowly.
Justin Dale in the Peugeot was far from slow in the Junior Championship. His car hadn't been ready for Wales, but he was challenging hard here. 19-year-old Ryan Champion lived up to his name, taking the junior title here and the Peugeot Juniors too, a respectable 20th overall. The winner of Group M was the determined Julian Reynolds. Talk about never say die. A disastrous first day saw him 47th overall. Day 2 started in a ditch, but he charged up the field to take the Group N honours. Mark Lawn in the Astra scored championship points in Wales. He was to do so here too.
Have you been affected by punctures and things?
Luckily, we have escaped punctures. We've been lucky running a tyre safe mousse in the tyres, and I think that saved us from our punctures. And the tyres are working well, so far so good.
How standard is this car then?
Effectively, most of the car is Group A. It's just the engine is basically out of a road car. But
why is that?
Basically down to finance, really, and hopefully we'll have an engine in for the next one. But I seem to be able to frighten myself enough in this one.
It's fair to say Jock Armstrong also scared himself in his new Shell Scholarship car. He got into the points, despite this little tangle on Special Stage 10. And if you don't succeed, any rally driver will tell you, you have to try again. Tom Coftree kept going too in his Subaru Legacy. His persistence paid off. He won the Group N Production Cup. There was persistence in huge amounts as well from the redoubtable Gwyndaf Evans in his bruised and battered sellotape special. His car stopped 3 times on this stage alone. Here, overworked co-driver Howard Davies has to leap out for another quick repair job. Nothing, it seems, deflates enthusiasm in this car. With a little tinkering, the Escort is back on the road and ready for action. Easy when you know how, really. It turned out to be a minor electrical problem. Gwyndaf and Howard will seldom face as many difficulties in one rally and overcome them. Amazingly, after all his mishaps here, Gwyndaf ended this rally with the fastest Formula 2 time on the last stage to pick up valuable points. What a performance!
Dominic Buckley, returning to rallying after a 6-month layoff, provided one of the surprises of the Pirelli event. He consistently notched up top 5 Formula 2 stage times to finish 6th in the championship battle. The lively Renault Clios are a welcome addition to the championship, although Alain Array was not too keen on an event guided by complicated maps rather than pace notes. 8th place overall was a very creditable result. Robbie Head would have finished 8th, but it wasn't to be his day. Let's look from the inside at what happened on the very last stage.
Right 5.
Co-driver Terry Harriman quickly summoned help.
Somebody there, I think. Come on, get her back on the wheels.
They had to be content with a 12th place overall finish. David Llewellyn was now far happier with the handling of his Astra and set some splendid stage times to prove it. He finished 7th overall, 4th in Formula 2, and is now 2nd in the championship.
50. Decay right.
50. Mick Jones once again earned the plaudits as top privateer. Despite an amazing collection of punches, he brought his Mitsubishi home in 6th place. There was also the highest praise for Vauxhall's new discovery, Harry Rovanperä. He was competing for the first time outside his native Finland, and the 29-year-old gave the Astra a 5th overall finish. Yes, another flying Finn to watch.
In 4th spot, Alistair McRae in the Nissan, a performance that extends his lead in the British Championship. He said afterwards his car had run faultlessly. The Nissan triumph in Formula 2 continued with Gregoire de Mavius in 3rd position overall, an impressive drive in difficult conditions. And the Swede Thomas Abrahamsson in the Ford was in 2nd spot, a battling performance from the Scandinavian too. But the ultimate accolades were all for Ari Vatanen, the Finn who enjoys such a huge following in Britain. Even at 42, he showed that his zest for the forest was still very much in evidence. The 1981 world champion put on a show worthy of his golden years. He took control of the Pirelli on the 4th stage and stayed on top until the very end. So, victory for Vatanen in the Ford by more than 4 minutes. The Swede Abrahamsson 2nd, followed by the Nissans of de Mavius and McRae. The Belgian De Mavis was the Formula 2 winner, with Nissan teammate McRae right behind him. Then Rovanpera and Llewellyn in the Vauxhalls. The British Rally Championship after 2 rounds now sees McRae in the lead with 46 points, Llewellyn second and the veteran Frenchman Auray third.
Well done, Gregor. Very good drive.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a very nice rally and we had no problem at all, so we've been a bit lucky compared to some others, but sometimes it was not so easy to keep the car on the road, and we've been lucky.
Trouble-free, to sum it up. Very warm in a sentimental sense, emotionally. Very nice indeed. And when the sun is shining, that sums it up. The atmosphere during the rally. Everything went very well indeed.
6 left. 4 right. 4 right and 6 left. I'm alright. That's a haymaker.
Long, fast left. And long, fast right. 30 right. And long, fast right. Left, sorry. Into 45 right, over bridge. Narrows over bridge. 60 left, straight after the bridge. Whoa. Whoops.
Flat crest and dip into slow, easy right minus on crest. Fairly quick. That's it. And then long, flat left. Continues, 120, caution, easy right plus, double tightens to K right. Keep it going at the moment, you're all right. Tightens right. And then right into medium left minus tight, follows tree line, keeps going left, right to here. Keeps going left like this. Still left. And left again, and to medium right plus, here, straight 50, medium right plus. All okay, should be flat crest left if anything. All okay, very fast down here, but it's little crest, quite tricky, and at the very end, goes easy left minus on the crest. Into easy right plus and easy left plus, almost flat, then to 100 count, medium left plus, here, medium left plus.
Okay, right. 70. Okay, left. 50. Medium right. Into K right. 50. Medium left. 100.
Somebody there, I think. Come on, get her back on the wheels.
Perth Scottish Rally, round 3 of the Mobil 1 Top Gear British Rally Championship. A warm Scottish welcome for the drivers and fans alike. A chance to get to know one another before this notoriously difficult event. Nevertheless, it's one the drivers love to take part in.
It's beautiful. The road is very, very smooth. The problem is it's not so smooth if you go too much on the inside. It's big stones and all that. So I don't know. I think it's better to stay in the middle of the road. I think you have bad surprise if you try to cut too much the corners.
They've done a lot of work with the engine, changed a few things around, and we did 2 days extensive testing, 1 day at Myra and 1 day at Sweet Lamb, and we're really confident we're going to get a good finish this time.
Most local interest centred on Alistair McRae, Formula 2 leader and local boy made good.
Yeah, it's probably a bit of a difficult one. We'd like to try and win Formula 2, it's our home event, but obviously we don't want to lose points in the championship, so I would think a safe flat out pace.
A traditional send-off for Alistair McRae, his Nissan Sunny led off the starting ramp by an historic MG. For the drivers, nearly 87 stage miles lay ahead. Day 1 was centred around Perth, then it was down towards the lowlands. A night stage from Dumfries then led the rally back to Perth for a Sunday lunchtime finish. The idyllic calm of Craigvinian Forest was soon to be shattered by the throaty roar from Alistair McRae's Nissan. His rally was destined for a dramatic and shattering start on the first stage. Alistair was soon to experience an inexplicable electrical failure. His rally was over almost as soon as it began.
7 right, 6 left.
Behind him came Gwyndaf Evans in his Escort Cosworth. A Formula 2 rival, he soon came across Alistair's misfortune. He could scarcely believe his eyes.
9 right.
For the Welshman, though, it was on with the business of rallying. McRae's demise was his gain in the Formula 2 chase for points. Gwyndaf took it steadily, though, on the opening stages, a respectable 9th overall.
Right entry chicane, 9 left, square right.
Soon the cars had reached historic Scone Palace. It was twice round the park, carefully avoiding the oil drums, of course. The spectators were hugely entertained.
3, 2, 1, go. 70 care on scene.
This was David Llewellyn's Vauxhall Astra, also with high hopes of success. He was lying second in Formula 2. But Llewellyn's rally was also to be cursed by a severe dose of the Day 1 blues. On the same stage that saw Alistair McRae out of contention, Llewellyn's luck ran out too. His engine seized to end his rally.
We did about 3 miles of the stage, and then the water temperature started climbing, and then we could smell oil, and then eventually the engine was getting tighter and tighter. We pulled off at a hairpin. As soon as we switched it off, as soon as we came to a stop, it seized up.
Probably we saw you coming down the road with smoke pouring out of every orifice. What's been the problem?
The problem seems to be the engine. I'm not quite sure 100% what actually is the problem in the engine, but it's just using so much oil, maybe 3 litres in 5 miles, so we just can't continue.
Everyone was having difficulties. Here, Ari Mokkonen was explaining to Alistair McRae's father, Jimmy, that he too was having electrical problems. Mokkonen was having a dreadful day. He lost 8 minutes on stage 1, plummeting down the field to 75th, second from bottom. The Scottish curse was affecting his chances too. With his 2 Nissan teammates in trouble, Gregoire de Mavius had every right to feel jumpy. All 3 Nissans were set up as they were for the last rally, the Pirelli. The electrical gremlin was a total mystery. No such worries for Malcolm Wilson, the reigning British champion. He took the rally by storm, fastest on all 4 of the opening day stages. Would it be another example of the old maestro showing the rest of the field how to do it? Another Escort Cosworth to watch belonged to the Finn Thomas Abrahamsson. His private entry avoided all those first day disasters to stay comfortably in the top 6 of the rally. Johnny Milner in the Nissan was feeling pleased with himself too. 4th on the opening leg was a vast improvement on his day 1 exit on the Pirelli. Day 1 was also one to remember for Jock Armstrong. Those in the know say he's up and coming. Here, he was simply upside down.
Hairpin in the second stage, dug into a soft bit of ground and just tipped over, so luckily there's plenty of people there. Thanks all for turning me back over, and I had still quite a good stage time, so hopefully I'll still be in the running.
He was. You can't keep a good Jock down.
As ever, the picturesque Scottish scene was breathtaking, but as leg 2 got underway, the weather threatened to put a dampener on things. Malcolm Wilson's first appearance in the 1995 British Championship had so far proved a sparkling success. The Cumbrian had powered his Escort RS Cosworth to pole position for the start of leg 2. First away, that gave Wilson a distinct advantage through the hilly forest stages of the Tweed Valley. The 39-year-old was building an impressive cushion as he bid to defend his Scottish title. In the Mitsubishi, Finland's Olli Harke's first British Championship season was continuing to go with a swing. Sadly, it didn't last as he crashed out of the rally in Elibank. It was finito for the Finn. Johnny Milner was working hard to impress as he looked to earn a works drive. As he tackled the Scottish woodlands, Milner was settling well to the job in hand aboard his turbocharged four-wheel drive Nissan. Milner comfortably placed in the top 5 at this stage, though the Yorkshireman didn't find it all smooth going.
We just come around a hairpin, one of the tight hairpins, and it knocked the front tyre off with about sort of 5 or 6 miles to go. So I thought, well, I'll drive on it, it's not going to be a problem. But then, because the car was understeering so much when I'm turning left, we knocked another tyre off the back as well, but that was only with about a mile to go, so it's cost us just over a minute, so it's a long way to go yet.
What are the stages like? What condition this morning?
Very, very slippery. The first one was very slippery, the second one was okay, and this one in here is quite slippery as well.
The Scottish weather wasn't helping its high-powered visitors, but Gregoire de Mavius was held back by the electrical problems that had already dogged his teammates, sliding to 29th place.
The problem with the electronic is the worst. It's better to knock a wheel off, because for the mechanic it's easier to change a wheel, because the electronic is so complicated and we don't know where it's coming from. And the 3 cars are identical from Pirelli Rally, and they were perfect on Pirelli Rally, so it's a bit of a nightmare.
The Belgian had led the Formula 2 field heading into the 47-mile-long second stretch, but after a rough ride through the forests, his lead evaporated. His loss was Tapio Laukkanen's gain, with some spectacular stuff in the early second leg stages. His very appearance in Scotland was a bonus for the Finn. He was loving every minute. Laukkanen's Volkswagen Golf held the Formula 2 lead through the opening 4 stages of day 2. By now, the Formula 2 lead had developed into a real dogfight. Jarmo Cutelletto, Laukkanen's compatriot, was biting back. The Finnish farmer was certainly scything his way through the slippery conditions. Conscious of Laukkanen's pressure, Cutelletto responded. Through the treacherous Twigley stage, he took a full 14 seconds out of his rival. Only race leader Malcolm Wilson had gone through quicker. But Laukkanen responded well, snatching the Formula 2 lead back through the 6 miles of Kasselø. If Laukkanen was a long way from his finish home, his Volkswagen teammate Don Buckley was a Scot putting on a brave home display. A terrific drive saw Buckley into 5th place overall and clearly leading the Celtic Challenge. Welshman Gwyndaf Evans had bigger fish to fry. With McRae and Llewellyn out of the running, Evans could go above them in the championship with a high finish here. Having survived almighty obstacles in the last round, things were running much more smoothly. But such is the unpredictable nature of the sport, fate intervened to slap him in the face. And that was that for Gwyndaf. After a couple of disastrous rounds which had floundered on a broken cylinder head gasket, Martin Rowe was keeping his head here. This was his 306's best showing of the championship so far. One or two minor setbacks had hampered his progress, but 8th overall by the end of leg 2 was more than satisfactory. Like every team on the rally, nursing his car through the testing Scottish conditions was a full-time job.
The first stage was very tricky. It was very wet and under the trees and just under braking the wheels were locking up, so we had a few hairy moments in there, but I'm really having an attack today.
Anyway, we've got it organised, nice service area here under cover.
It's a cowshed, but it keeps the boys dry if it's raining.
No such comforts for the hardy Scots at roadside. Instead, consolation in the shape of Alain O'Reilly flying the Renault flag. Alain was providing a ray of sunshine for French followers, beavering away to maintain a respectable place in the top 12 alongside co-driver Jacques Boyer.
Et droite 85 cordes. Sur droite 45 plus. 100 mètres passe à fond plus. 100 mètres passe à fond plus. 100 mètres, droite 115 plus.
19-year-old Ryan Champion had lived up to his name by guiding his Peugeot to top spot in the junior event in the last round. After this excursion to the countryside, a repeat in Scotland looked decidedly doubtful. Here in the wet and windy wilds of southern Scotland, there's nothing they like more than a bit of off-road action. A tricky situation like this requires more than muscle, a meeting of minds required, and a little bit of rope, all helping Champion's cause, emphasising once again rally sport's unique pulling power.
Harry Mockinen is one of those rally drivers determined to make the best of things. Despite his early electrical problems, Mockinen got on with the job in hand. From 75th, he'd gone up to 30th.
Harry, what is it like driving down at the back of the field like this?
No good feeling.
How's it been today, Jane?
Oh, it's been a bit fraught to begin with. At the beginning of the day, we had a couple of problems. At the last stage last night, our exhaust whole system fell off, so we got half of it sorted last night and had to finish the rest this morning, so we dropped some time. And the first stage, I was all a bit het up, but after that, we've been firing along and seem to be doing really well.
You came in there in a bit of a hurry, Tapio.
Yeah, we must change the gearbox there because the clutch was broken, and now we are a couple of minutes late, so that's the reason.
OK, you're due on the run.
So a few snatched hours of rest for Formula 2 leader Tapio Laukkanen and the others in the riverside town of Dumfries before a midnight start. And first away in the driving rain, the overall leader Malcolm Wilson. But it soon became clear that he too was to join the growing list of casualties on this event, his escort looking and sounding in bad shape. His engine had overheated after his radiator was smashed in a controversial mishap on Special Stage 13. A full inquiry is underway, but it was the end of Malcolm's rally. This is his account of what happened.
Basically what happened the stage previous to this one, we came across like a closed gate on the stage and consequently had to take avoiding action, and it damaged burst the radiator and everything on the car, but the mechanics changed it for this stage. But unfortunately I think it must have done the damage on the previous one. I think it must have got too hot, and well, 10 miles into this stage the engine just cried enough.
The night was to claim more victims. Martin Rowe's Peugeot was now placed in 6th position. Then his rally ended dramatically too.
To crest, it's right 3 and right 5. And right 5 1.
Okay. Can you hit the cut-off?
The rallying carnage continued. Laukkanen was leading Formula 2 by 13 seconds. It was an unlucky omen. His Golf developed gearbox problems and gave up the ghost on special stage 13. It wasn't his night. Teammate Don Buckley was hanging on to 3rd spot, but not one of his doors.
It was a crest and a square left. I misheard Nicky on the notes, and there was already a car off from the earlier rally. And unfortunately we slid a bit wide and hit the car that was already there. We lost the door, but still going.
Steve, the team manager, they've taken your door now.
Yeah, I'm left with a rather drafty drive through Scotland tonight. Never mind, I've got a little bottle of whiskey in there somewhere.
But Buckley was due for one more dawn surprise. It looked like the end for the 27-year-old motorsport mechanic, but where there's life, there's hope, and a 10-minute struggle to get him out followed. There was mud in the eye for just about everyone as Buckley's Golf finally made it out of the ditch. Amazingly, he went on to finish 8th overall and 4th in Formula 2. Breakfast time saw the Swede Thomas Abrahamsson now firmly in the lead in his Escort. But he didn't have too much time to enjoy it though, as the rally raced on towards the finish in Perth. There was much satisfaction too in the Vauxhall camp about the performance of their man Jarmo Cuteletto. He was leading Formula 2 by a minute and a half. On his first trip to Scotland, Cuteletto was lying 2nd overall, a truly outstanding performance. For the British contingent, though, it was still exceedingly tough going. Johnny Milner's privately run Nissan was doing well until a stone holed his sump on the Ken Edwards stage. There was a desperate attempt by the mechanics to get his car going, but Milner's face said it all. The frustration was all too apparent. His rally too had come to a disappointing end.
Leicestershire's Steve Green sells cars for a living. He drives them for fun. The sight of a Vauxhall Corsa on the testing terrain of a British rally event is rare indeed, but Green was showing it to be more than capable of doing the job. With impressive showings in both of the previous rounds, Green was keeping good company again here, streets ahead of his class, the leading privateer in Formula 2.
Jump, caution, 2 right, the jump. 1 left, jump. An easy right, keep right.
Steve Green is head over heels in love with rallying. With just 8 miles to go, it all ended in tears. A heartbreak ridge snapped his drive shaft. Gladly, no broken bones, but for a devastated Steve, it was time for the green grass of home. Against the scenic coniferous backdrop, the Ladies' Championship raged on too. Jane Gunningham's demise just 3 stages from the end opened the door for the Simonite sisters. Undeterred by the chasing Group N Cosworth of Nigel Heath, Stephanie and Rachel held their nerve on the approach back to Perth. Their well-paced effort assured their Honda Civic a warm reception as they lifted the Ladies' Cup. Leading the way in the Junior Championship, Andrew Wheatley, the 22-year-old Welshman who's studying law. The jury's out on his potential as a future rally champion. After another win here, though, the verdict should find in his favour.
It's been very, very hard, very, very rough. There's been a lot of people who have had trouble with cars and crashing, and it's been since this morning we haven't stopped really.
There were quite a few changes in the leadership of the section.
Well, every stage you went past, you'd see the leader stopped on the side of the road. I hope it's not me next, but no, it's been good, very competitive and good.
For Manxman Scott Bradshaw, the postcard from Perth bore good news. The 24-year-old steered his Honda to victory in the Group N Amateur Driving Cup. You'll remember that Ari Mockinen's Scotch Rally was on the rocks. After stage 1, down at 75th, he was floundering. But a terrific effort aboard his Nissan saw the Finn climb rapidly back up the leaderboard to 9th. So tragic then that he was forced to stop on the very last stage. The performance, though, still earned him the Star of the Rally trophy. Mark Higgins had departed earlier in the rally. The family fortunes rested therefore with brother David. A sterling effort saw him take 6th overall and 4th in F2. Just ahead and flying, Philip Young. He guided his Escort into 5th place and lifted the Group N Production Cup. Some describe the Irishman as a greyhound behind the wheel. Here, he very nearly caught up with the hare. For Frenchman Alain O'Reilly, a return home via the Channel Tunnel may not quite match the Scottish Rally for excitement, but at least it proved a successful trip. His 4th place overall maintains a consistent showing in Britain so far. O'Reilly also takes over the Formula 2 title lead. Relishing both the open road and the forest north of the border, O'Reilly's been very much in form all season long, improving his position in every round. Our helicopter shot captures perfectly the style that's made Alain a force majeure this season.
How do you like the Scottish Rally roads?
Okay. Very, very difficult for me, but beautiful. Beautiful. Because, comment on dit la nuit? Rallye de nuit. In the dark. Yes, because in the dark.
You like that?
Yes, yes, yes.
And now, of course, you're doing very well in the championship.
Another overseas visitor, Belgium's Gregoire de Mavius, had been crossing his fingers all weekend too. But despite the problems that blighted the Nissan effort in Scotland, de Mavius somehow kept his show on the road, overcoming adversity to claim 3rd place overall and 2nd in Formula 2. After 2 successful rounds, Jarmo Cutaletto was at it again in Perth, claiming his first Formula 2 victory and 2nd spot overall.
Hello, well done, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
How difficult do you think this rally has been compared to other rallies which you've done?
I think it's maybe it's top.
Top!
Once again, the Scandinavian challenge had been the dominant factor. Overall honours in Scotland went to Sweden's Thomas Abrahamsson, with victory in his privately run Ford Escort Cosworth. Abrahamsson enjoyed his Highland fling, even though the win doesn't count towards the British Championship. So, Abrahamsson the winner in Perth, Jarmo Cutaletto just behind, Gregoire de Mavius in 3rd. As for championship points, it was Cutaleto who took the maximum, then De Mevius, and O'Reilly with his best result yet in third. Which leaves O'Reilly the championship leader, behind him a three-way tie, second spot shared by De Mevius, McRae and Cutaleto. But it was Cutaleto who cracked open the champagne in Scotland.
Northern Ireland for the 7-shilling Ulster Rally at the end of July, when 4 rights. 4 left start and open 4 rights. 250 of a king, right entry chicane, 9 left, square right. 9 left, square right. Flat right and left. Right and left. And left entry, 8 right. 170. Flat right and 4 right. Flat right and 4 right. And 3 left. Slot 8 right. Slot 8 right. Swing 3 right and left. And 3 right. 300.
Sur droite 60, ouvre. Droite 60, ouvre. Pour basse à fond. Pour droite 85. 20 mètres gauche 45, corde. Et droite 85, corde. Sur droite 45 plus. 100 mètres basse à fond plus. 100 mètres basse à fond plus. 100 mètres droite 115 plus. Sur gauche 85. Sur combo droite à fond. 80 mètres. Passe à fond. Pour passe sur gauche 115. Attention, passe sur gauche 115. Attention. Sur droite à fond. 50 mètres, passe sur droite 120. Passe sur droite 120.
Crest, right 230, turn right 8. Right 230, turn right 8. Crest and left 5 through posts, opens to crest, into right 3 and right 5. And right 5 off.
Okay. Can you hit the cut-off?
30 right 3, 30, long left 1. Crest 30 left 3, cut in, and left 4, cut. Right, left 4, cut. Right 3, cut. And left 4, cut. 30, right 7. Right 7. Left 2 over crest, 30, flat crest, 30, crest and left 3. Left 1 over crest, right 3. Crest 50, right 3, 100. Right 3, 100.
Round 4 of the Mobil 1 Top Gear British Rally Championship. And for most of the challengers, that meant a trip across the Irish Sea to tackle the tarmac on the Ulster Rally. Donegal Place by Belfast City Hall would be the starting point for a 2-day battle. 83 competitors would face a scheduled 17 special stages, 173 miles of very hard going. Welshman Gwyndaf Evans had the honour of being flagged off first by reigning British champion Malcolm Wilson. Past winner Gwyndaf was hoping to have the sort of luck he had had previously on the Ulster.
Gwyndaf, number 1 off the ramp, heading the field. How does that feel?
It's okay. It's been nice to lead the field away, and you know, the Ulster's been good to me in the past. I just hope it's going to be good for me this year.
Another past winner, Welshman David Llewellyn, was predicting thrills and spills.
I think it's going to be depending a little bit on the weather, and that's looking very changeable. It could be very, very exciting.
Scotland's Alison McRae also knew it wasn't going to be an easy rally.
How do you look forward to this tarmac event?
With a bit of anticipation. It can be a very good rally, but the weather's very unpredictable and it makes it difficult and tricky for tyre choices, so enjoy it, but it's difficult.
Gwyndaf Evans was quickly on the pace. He scored his first big win here in 1989.
Left of a crest and unslot, 9 right. Unslot, 9 right. 3 right. And keep right for slot, 3 left, slip B.
The Ulster Rally is certainly one of the toughest in the championship. Unforgiving asphalt and very little room for mistakes. It would only need rain to turn these leafy lanes into skid pans.
Flat right and left of the crest, 50 of a king. Twist 3 left, 3 right sharp.
The locals quickly nicknamed Frenchman Alan O'Reilly. The Renault team leader was the fastest Formula 2 driver on stage 1. And of course, he was leading the Formula 2 championship in any language.
80 mètres, frein stop, à gauche 45, ouvre. Sur droite à fond plus. Sur gauche à fond ferme. Et basse à fond plus. 50 mètres, droite 85, ferme long.
Suddenly, everyone's fears were realised. Just before the second stage, the heavens opened. Vauxhall's Jarmo Cutoletto was one of the first victims. The Finnish ace has not had much experience of tarmac rallies, and he wasn't going to gain much here. Just watch what happens on this downhill section. He clipped the grass, bounced onto the bank on the other side of the road and rolled over twice. Amazingly, Jarmo and his co-driver were unhurt. They actually finished the stage with a sorry tale to tell.
We think about before the stage what tires we take, and we take a risk and we take a leaks. And
for dry roads, and it was wet.
Yes, it's very wet. It's middle of the stage, and
as always, the dedicated mechanics did their best, but the Finns were finished. Just 5 minutes later, at the very same spot, local star Frank Marr went straight on, doing his escort no good at all. There were plenty of willing hands to help their hero limp away.
No, I just broke the left-hand drive shaft and wishbone. We lost 2 minutes, that's the biggest problem. But we're still in the rally.
While most of the Irish were having a lucky rally, the Finns were having a miserable time. This is Ari Mokkanen. Just like Cutoletto, he'd be caught out by the conditions. He aquaplaned into a stone post, flattened a wheel and wiped off his fuel tank. Both the championship star Finns were now out of the rally. There wasn't much for the Belgians to smile about either. Look at Gregoire de Mavius's reshaped Nissan.
It started to brake quite early, but it was not early enough, and I couldn't slow down the car. So there was an entry of a field on the left, so I decided to go there, but there was a concrete post. The barrier was open, but so I went through, but the rear didn't pass, so the rear touched it, and then we roll, and then we went back on the wheels, and then I just start again, and
Gregoire battled on and would finish just outside the top 10. Meanwhile, up at the front, genial Bertie Fisher was enjoying himself immensely in his four-wheel drive Subaru. He had been fastest on every stage so far. He had the Dunlop Tarmac title in his sights and was driving superbly. It was great to watch. Frank Marr was fighting his way back through the field. His incident had dropped him from 2nd to 26th. Stephen Finlay was now in 2nd place in the Malcolm Wilson prepared Escort, but finding it difficult to match Fisher's blistering pace.
Martin Rose had a dismal season. In Ulster, his misery continued.
As I brought the clutch up to leave the start line, there was a big bang, and that was the drive shaft breaking. And then from there on, we were doing like 50, 60 mile an hour if we were lucky.
Rowe's mechanics worked feverishly to repair the damage. A new drive shaft in place, he was back on the road. But by now, Rowe was getting used to disaster, and sure enough, it struck again. A hose came away, his engine said goodbye to its water, his Peugeot ran out of steam. Rowe's rally was over.
30 right 9 loose, and left 1, 30, flat crest, and flat crest 70, right 1 at pole, 100, over crest, turn left 9 after.
Stephanie and Rachel Simonite are leading the ladies section and keen to put in a good showing here to keep it that way. But Ulster has a tough reputation. No one was going to have it easy. This was a first appearance on this event for the Yorkshire sisters. They were finding plenty of surprises as they picked their way around the tight, twisting Ulster roads. But with only a few seconds in hand over ladies' rival Jane Gunningham, easing off wasn't part of the Simonite strategy. It led to some hairy moments.
We've just had the most horrendous moment, biggest moment of our lives. It was really, really horrendous. I said it lasted about 100 yards and Rachel said it lasted about 100 years. Lost it and got it back, lost it and got it back for ages, and we just managed to, survive it. We were very lucky, and all the people had turned round and they were really running the other way.
Back in the Formula 2 race, Alistair McRae was enjoying a rare old tussle with Alan O'Reilly. After his early exit in Perth in the last round, McRae was clearly enjoying his Irish experience far more. The Scottish failure had handed O'Reilly the Formula 2 title lead. Now McRae was going full throttle to win it back. O'Reilly also seemed to relish the testing asphalt conditions. He set the joint fastest Formula 2 time in the opening Ballygowan stage south of Belfast, taking a full 11 seconds out of McRae. David Llewellyn had been one of the few to survive the early downpour and the devastation that had resulted. When the heavens opened, Llewellyn had the tyres to cope. It left him in a commanding position on the leaderboard. Now Llewellyn's eyes were on the Evans again, his Formula 2 rival Gwyndaf.
Crest 30, 3 right, tightens, 100. Open 4 right, and crest 30. Crest 3 left, and crest, and 4 right, 50. 3 right minus, 30, T5 left, 70. Turn 5 right, gravel.
Aboard his RS2000 though, Evans was relentlessly grinding down his fellow countryman's early advantage. By the 5th stage at Ballykelly, Gwyndaf had nosed his way in front to grab the overnight lead in Formula 2.
So the end of the first leg, Gwyndaf, and you're in the lead of the Formula 2 section.
Yeah, very pleased with that, and obviously glad to come back to Belfast. It's been quite a testing day, but the pace in Formula 2 is quite hot, and we'll see how it goes tomorrow.
Well done, Bertie. It seems to be going your way. Pretty good lead at the end of this section.
Yeah, it's obviously we haven't had a bad day, apart from on the first stage when we had all that drama with no gears and then lost another 10 seconds with road penalties in the service area. But the boys did a very good job, obviously, and they had quite a bit of work to do to get the gear selection working again. And unfortunately, we dropped a minute, but that's it. We're still happy. We just settled for 42 seconds leaving this morning, I think.
To left 8. Woo!
A home win looked a fairly safe bet as Bertie Fisher led the rally away on a thankfully dry dawn. Chasing the Irish tarmac champion Subaru was Stephen Finlay. He finished second here last year. Would he be runner-up again? In third place are Mars Andrew Nesbitt in the ex-Didier Auriol Toyota. And in fourth place, Liam O'Callaghan. Yes, he's Irish too, in another Toyota. The four-wheel drive cars were certainly setting the pace. The Formula 2 title battle was a nose-to-tail affair, just 11 seconds between the top four. Gregoire de Mavius was still pressing on in his battered car. Robbie Head showed how slippery it was as David Llewellyn started his chase after Gwyndaf Evans. It was obvious immediately it was going to be a very testing day. David Llewellyn was lying third behind Gwyndaf and Kenny McKinstry.
3 right. 200 twisty. Short, 4 right. 50. 4 left, continues, 30. Short, 5 right. 30. Danger, 2 left and 5 right. Double tightens late, narrow. 80 twisty. 4 left, double tightens, 4 right.
Gwyndaf Evans had started the day well, third fastest overall on the first stage. The second stage of the day was cancelled. A local driver, presumably after a Friday night out, had decided to test his prowess and demolish most of the stage signage.
4 right. 30, flat left and right and left of a crest. Sudden slot, 9 right. Left. Sudden slot, 9 right. 170. Open 4 left. Open 4 left, 120.
Johnny Milner wouldn't have minded if the third stage had been cancelled too.
Just as cutting the top off one of the corners, and I saw last minute in the corner of my eye a rock that had been pulled out by somebody else, and so I caught it, and the tyre went straight down. So we did sort of 4 miles with a puncture, but tarmac tyres go down straight away and then they're useless. Whereas if you get a puncture with a forest tyre, you can keep going. I've done like 20 miles and only lost over a minute, just over a minute. We lost 2 minutes quite easily there, but the thing is it's a Group N car really, and there's no point in damaging the car, so we just came out and we're still leading the class, so it's nothing to worry about.
Johnny did go on to win his class, and he also picked up his first championship points. But the hero of the day would soon prove to be Alistair McRae. He had only been 9th overall and 3rd in the championship chase overnight, but now the 25-year-old Scot set the fastest time outright on the first stage. His chase after Gwyndaf was on in earnest. That 11-second gap became 7 seconds. After just 3 stages, he was 5th overall and in the Formula 2 lead. Meanwhile, the current championship leader, Alain Ray, was certainly taming the tarmac. He was the fastest Formula 2 driver on 5 stages. Sadly, his teammate Robbie Head would be unable to contribute to the Clio cause. Despite the local knowledge of his co-driver Terry Harriman, Robbie was never really in contention. He was 12th overall when it all began to go wrong.
It's jammed in gear, in first gear, but now when we come out of the stage, took it out of gear and it won't go into any gears now, so we did not that whole stage in first gear, and with the previous stage, the whole of it in third gear, so we've dropped like 10 minutes or something.
Nothing the mechanics did could solve the problem. Exit Robbie. Fellow Scot Don Buckley was having a much better run in a Volkswagen Golf. After finishing 5th in Scotland, he was eager for another top 10 placing, and he would succeed. The 27-year-old Kelso driver has valuable experience on the Scottish Tarmac Championship, and it showed. Volkswagen must be delighted with his progress in the championship so far. 6th on the Pirelli and 5th in Scotland. Would he go one better here? Experience helps. This is the former Irish tarmac champion, Kenny McKinstry. Kenny gave Ford some welcome manufacturer's points when he finished 8th overall and 4th in Formula 2. Sadly, Kenny wasn't registered in the Drivers' Championship, so there were no points for that. The man in form was proving unbeatable. Bertie Fisher has won every international rally he has entered this year, and this was to be no exception. The cheerful engineer from Ballymallard led from start to finish, fastest on every stage but one. Stephen Finlay admitted that on this occasion he simply couldn't match the pace of the Flying Fisher, but he was a very confident second. Liam O'Callaghan finished 3rd, making it a top 3 triumph for the still popular 4-wheel drive fleet. Liam was also challenging for the Dunlop Tarmac title. He would lie 3rd after this event, behind Frank Marr and Bertie Fisher. Andrew Nesbitt had to be content with 6th place overall, after getting too close to the scenery on the Harper's Bridge stage.
Irish eyes were smiling, and no wonder. The Formula 2 contest was really hotting up. The main protagonists, Alistair McRae and Gwyndaf Evans. McRae working hard to keep Evans at arm's length. The Scot was fighting to squeeze every second he could out of these stages. He managed to just keep his Nissan ahead, but one mistake would hand the advantage over to his rival. Gwyndaf was pulling out all of the stops to close the gap. It really was nip and tuck. Evans has enjoyed his fair share of success in Ireland down the years, but with memories of a spectacular crash in Scotland still fresh, he was content to settle for a more measured drive in Ulster. The skirmish for the section lead was a bonus.
Gwyndaf, 4 stages to go, and you're just 7 seconds behind Alistair in the Formula 2 section. Do you think you can get that back?
Well, we'll certainly try, but Alistair's going very well, to be honest, and we're pleased to be here in 2nd place, and the car is still very new, and we've proved that it's on its way to being an excellent car.
We changed the gearbox last night. We had 2nd gear went in the box, and the new box we put in, the change wasn't very good, so they rebuilt the original box last night. We replaced it this morning, and the car's running perfectly now.
What do you think of these next 4 stages that you've got to do?
I think they'll be difficult.
If Alistair was hedging around any rash predictions, Mark Lorne was just hedging. But despite this brief encounter with the roadside, Lorne in a non-works Astra maintained his consistent series form to grab 5th spot in Formula 2. With a Shell scholarship already on his CV, Jock Armstrong was looking to further enhance his reputation in Ulster, and he was. 15th overall, enough to maintain a place in the championship's top 7. Jane Gunningham's challenge almost came unstuck when she lost an argument with a Telegraph pole. Thankfully, both ladies and Paul were left shaken but intact.
Left 4.
Gunningham's loss was Stephanie Simonite's gain. The 26-year-old Bradford caterer had served up another impressive performance around the Ulster countryside to take command of the Ladies' Cup. With just one round to come, Stephanie and younger sister Rachel are looking good for the series title. Their progress was bordering on the serene.
Left 2 over crest, 50. Left 2, 50. Left 1 to right 1 over crest, 80. Right 4.
Steve Green's very appearance in Ulster was a triumph over adversity. His championship had come to an abrupt halt in Perth with a spectacular somersault crash. Things were going a little more smoothly here. The Leicestershire car salesman had been struggling to even get a car to the start in Ireland. After much toing and froing, his Corsa made it across the Irish Sea to become the top privateer. Top of the young guns, 20-year-old Mark Blair, guiding his Peugeot to victory in the keenly contested Juniors Trophy. Blair has other strings to his bow. He's a male model too. He tasted section victory for the first time in the series, proving a model of consistency. He seemed to find life in Ireland's fast lanes to his liking.
It's not too bad, to be honest. The thing with tarmac is that if you keep it fairly smooth, you set a fairly good pace. So we've had a couple of moments yesterday on the slippy stuff, on the wet stages. We had a couple of, oh, what do we do now? And because the shiny stuff is really, really greasy, and if you hit that too fast, you're not going to stop. And we had a couple of moments there, but apart from that, it's run fairly smoothly.
Another smooth operator, Julian Reynolds from Dyfed. He took his Honda Civic to victory in the Amateur Cup. Now just 3 points clear of Scott Bradshaw in this series, it sets up a title showdown on the Isle of Man. There was a strong home presence in Ireland. Trevor Cathers was among the home drivers to raise a glass to victory by the end. The Ulsterman had the edge over his rivals from the start to take the Group N showroom class in his Impreza. Back in Formula 2, battle raged on. Alan O'Reilly and Jack Boyer were hanging on grimly to third place.
Sur droite 40. Sur à gauche à fond. Gauche à fond sur bosse.
Open right 50.
Behind them, David Llewellyn had a 30-second gap to close. He wasn't about to give up the chase.
Open 4 left and house. 130.
50.
Ahead, Gwyndaf Evans was involved in a hot pursuit of his own. Alistair McRae was proving elusive. Evans and navigator Howard Davis just couldn't overhaul the Scot.
Left Swiam, flat right long crest 50, 6 right sharp.
Alistair clearly had the bit between his teeth, and with brother Colin enjoying success on the other side of the world in New Zealand, he wasn't about to let the family down. After the grave disappointment of a failure to finish on home soil in Scotland, McRae could take extra satisfaction at his return to top place in the Formula 2 tussle in Ulster. As he pressed home for victory, McRae turned in some staggeringly quick times, very nearly matching the more powerful rally leader Bertie Fisher over the closing stages. But to the delight of Irish fans, Fisher it was who romped home to overall victory. The 45-year-old has rarely driven with such style. The win was undoubtedly popular, the handshakes sincerely offered.
Well done, Rory.
The champagne celebrations were sweet indeed. So Fisher, the delighted winner, behind him his countrymen Stephen Finlay and Liam O'Callaghan to give a 1-2-3 for the Irish. Alistair McRae led the Formula 2's home in fourth. As for the British Championship standings in Ulster, McRae the winner by 29 seconds. Gwyndaf Evans in second place, behind him Alan O'Reilly's Renault almost a minute further back. Which all leaves the British Championship beautifully poised. Gregoire de Mavius, a disappointed man in Ireland, third. Alan O'Reilly keeping up the French challenge in second place, but 6 points clear Alistair McRae, the man to beat with just one round to go.
So, Alistair, how does that feel? Another win?
Yeah, very good. After the disappointment of the Scottish, to come here and win Formula 2 and third overall, it's very good.
And of course leading the championship again.
Yeah, that's the main thing. We'd hoped to come here with a lead in the championship. We didn't. We've got it back now, so look forward to the Manx.
Is arriving back here.
30 right 9 loose and left 1 30 flat crest and flat crest 70 right 1 at pole 100 over crest, turn left 9 after pole to crest into long left 5, peak into long left 5.
Open 4 right, and crest 30. Crest 3 left, and crest, and 4 right, 50. 3 right minus 30, T5 left, 70. Turn 5 right, gravel, 80. 3 right, 30. Early 2 right, then 5 left, tightens, continues. And 4 right, 40. 4 right minus 30. 4 right, tightens, gravel. And crest, and unseen square left, tightens, gravel. Long 2 right over crest. 100. 4 right.
Welcome to the Isle of Man, home to some majestic scenery, 500 miles of uncluttered roads and the Manx International Rally. Not without reason is this island considered the road racing capital of the world, and over the next 3 days and 29 stages, the 1995 British Rally Championships will be decided. Heading from the island capital of Douglas, the rally will unfold with 7 Thursday evening stages. The bulk of the action centres on leg 2, with 15 more stages Friday, a long day. The climax saved for the final 7 stages on Saturday. The British Series has attracted some of the hottest rally talent from all over Europe. The drivers have in the main found it a rewarding experience. Belgium's Gregoire de Mavius was embarking on his first Manx excursion.
Some stages are very, very narrow. I'm not used to that, because you can't take really any line. It's just to stay in the middle, and you can touch a stone or have a puncture very easily. So I think it's going to be something special.
David Llewellyn had his work cut out to retain his Formula 2 title. He wouldn't be short on desire.
There is a possibility, but the main one obviously that's holding the key to it all is Alistair. If we actually lost him for the event, or he finished very low down the order, then it makes it possible for, I think, 4 or 5 of the other drivers to win.
The smart money was on championship leader Alistair McRae, living with the pressure of life at the top.
Maybe not a lot of pressure, but obviously you know that you're going to be very disappointed if you do go wrong or do something wrong. So, I mean, we're here to do the rally and we'll attack it the way we normally do, but obviously the championship's in the back of the mind here.
It hadn't escaped McRae's notice, of course, that a top 4 finish here would secure him the British Formula 2 title. But if the pressure was on, the 24-year-old Lanarkshire professional wasn't showing it. He and co-driver David Senior set about their business sensibly. The last thing they needed was an early mistake. Nissan teammate Gregoire de Mavius was in with a chance of depriving McRae of his home title. Top 3 places on the Pirelli and in Perth, plus 11th in Ulster, meant Gregoire approached the Manx in good shape, with an outside chance of the championship itself. But on his first visit to the event, would lack of local knowledge prove a hindrance? It would be difficult to miss the bright yellow Renault of Frenchman Alain Auray, and with the fast tarmac roads of the Manx, this was one overseas visitor who felt very much at home. Experience is a wonderful thing. The learning curve of Scotland's Robbie Head included a top 3 place in this event in 1993. 2 years on, Head and co-driver Terry Harriman bounced their way into the top 8 by close of business on day 1. As Thursday's opening stages progressed around the south of the island, Gwyndaf Evans progressed up the leaderboard. By the time the drivers headed for their overnight rest, he was lying 3rd overall.
Slot 8 right, no bail, well held. Slot 8 right, no bail. 50, very late, 8 left.
As the rally reached its southernmost destination, the picturesque former island capital of Castletown, day was turning to night. Picking his way around the twisting street circuit, the early overall race leader, Island's Bertie Fisher. Another from the Emerald Isle, Frank Marr, making his mark on day 1, though the flashlights helped illuminate a mark that a grassy bank had made on his escort. Richard Burns's 1993 victory on the Manx Rally had helped secure the British title. 2 years on, Burns was back, paying a flying visit aboard his Peugeot.
Medium right plus, to right of stone 90 left. 50, medium right plus, to medium right plus, 70, flat left.
A bump with a bank, though, lost Burns 2 minutes. Robbie Head's Renault overhauled him on the Tynewald Mills stage. Burns settled for a place on the top 15 overnight.
Brake, left right plus.
Dom Buckley lost a wheel. His Volkswagen limped in and out of the rally. Gregoire de Mavius had problems too.
What happened here, Gregoire?
It was those stupid bowls that they put everywhere.
The straw bales, yeah.
Yeah, so I just pulled a handbrake, and it was a lot of grip on the road, and up the car and went on the roof, just like that.
But de Mavius and his team proved a resourceful crew. The Nissan was soon back on the road, and even managed to climb back up the leaderboard. Gregoire could sleep tight just outside the top 10.
Day 2. 15 more stages and some very tough night driving to come. Bertie Fisher had the Dunlop tarmac title firmly in his sights, as well as outright victory here. Fastest on every stage of the first leg, the brilliant Ulsterman led the 65 survivors away with a 1 minute 18-second lead. Behind him, the Formula 2 Championship chase was proving anything but clear-cut. Alistair McRae may have been holding second position overall, but he was being hounded over every mile by Gwyndaf Evans. It was time to stretch the lead.
Flat left, bridge, 100.
Gwyndaf Evans was hoping to celebrate the latest Ford Escort's first birthday with his best result of the season, but he was still losing ground on Alistair. The new Formula 2 Escort had, of course, made its debut here last year. Marseille's Alain Ray wasn't hanging about either, still with an outside chance of the title in his Clio Williams. And there was no Michael Schumacher to foil this particular Williams.
Gauche 45 plus. Droite 45 ferme.
Somehow, it sounds even faster in French.
Sur droite à fond plus.
And right 5 plus longer.
Mark Higgins had returned to his homeland, full of delight at his recent Turkish win. Now he was showing his mettle to his fellow Manxmen, but he nearly blotted his copybook with this sort of up-the-junction confusion. Happily, he soon got it together again, but he hadn't realised there was a spy in the sky.
You actually overshot the junction this morning, though, so you obviously don't know them too well.
You've seen that, did you? Yeah, we had a bit of a problem with the pace notes in Recce and that, but hopefully no more of those, and we'll get that sorted now. A few crosswords.
Our helicopter also bore witness to the very lucky escape which saw Robbie Head and Terry Harriman emerge unscathed from this 90-mile-an-hour excursion at Colden. A wheel on the grass was all it had taken. It was without doubt the most frightening incident of Robbie Head's career. This is how it looked and felt from inside the car.
120.
There was a word of caution from the co-driver, quite understandable in the circumstances.
Go gently. You don't know what's wrong with the car.
We had a big moment in the second stage this morning. About 90 miles an hour, we just hit some bumps, and the suspension in the back has been overheating with the bumps, and it just kicked the back up, and we landed in the grass and spun off the road at 80 or 90 miles an hour. A heart stopper. We were very lucky to get away with it, you know, and on the last stage as well, we've got this problem with the dampers overheating at the back, which is leaving us with virtually no damping at all, just because it's so bumpy.
And what about your teammate, Alan? Has he any problems?
Yes, he's suffering from the same problem.
Despite this problem and the refuelling mix-up, Robbie was able to maintain his titanic duel with David Llewellyn. The reigning Formula 2 champion was hoping to give the Vauxhall team a victorious farewell from the sport, and he was topping 80 miles an hour on this tight stretch. Just watch our special speedometer.
30. Open right 30. Open left 40. One left 130. Turn square left narrow. 30. Then open 5 right, 30. Press right, 80 twisty. 1 left, times 3 entry, unseen.
Jarmo Cutuletto arrived on the island boosted by a superb Thousand Lakes Formula 2 victory. Now the brilliant young Finn was in hot pursuit of his Vauxhall teammate. It was perhaps too much to expect the Astras to take the Formula 2 title for the third year in succession, but their contribution to British rallying won't be forgotten. Mark Higgins was piling on the pace when he came upon this unexpected and certainly unwanted obstacle.
Woohoo! Left 2 plus.
Jock Armstrong's Nissan was well and truly wedged.
Hazard.
Suddenly the airy stage became a traffic jam with Higgins, Head, Rowe, Armstrong and Burns all caught in it.
It was in between 2 bankings and the back end clipped the banking and it spun it around and we landed, it actually flipped it over and landed about 4 feet off the road up in the air, so the stage was blocked. I had to wait till spectators came along and needed about maybe 20 spectators just to push it around, and then we had to reverse down the stage for about 200 yards, so there you go.
The Shell Scholarship winner carried on, but not for long. He lost his chance of the amateur title with another spectacular row. Martin Rowe was forced to retire his Peugeot with obvious-sounding engine problems. The luckless Manxman now had the dubious distinction of retiring from every round.
Alistair McRae's attempts to secure a top 4 Formula 2 finish and claim the British title had been going very smoothly. Suddenly, though, on the 17-mile Airy stage came a setback. An engine problem turned out to be a broken rocker arm. It meant he had to relinquish the Formula 2 lead, dropping precious time. His rival Gwyndaf Evans, grateful for small mercies, was happy to take over. Friday's mid-island stages provided some troublesome moments for overall race leader Bertie Fisher too. Indeed, it was to prove a big turning point in the rally. Fisher had enjoyed a comprehensive lead from the start. Now, gearbox problems slowed his charge to a virtual crawl. Fisher and navigator Rory Kennedy could do nothing but try and take in the scenery as their Impreza was forced to coast to the end of the stage. Fisher's dominance of the Manx had threatened to become something of a procession. Now it quite literally had. It cost him more than 8 minutes and any hope of victory.
What's the problem, Bertie?
Looks like a gearbox problem. We had to push the car about 3 miles in that last stage.
The Impreza out of service and out of action. Fisher's race was run. No driver from the Republic of Ireland had ever journeyed across the sea to victory on the Manx Rally. Now Bertie Fisher's demise cleared the way for Frank Marr to make a little history. After earlier suspension problems, Marr was now bombing along. By the time the cars arrived for the regroup in Douglas, Frank had taken charge. Away from the top runners, battles for honours were equally engaging. Trevor Cathers and Philip Young were enjoying quite a contest for the Group N Production Cup. Cathers, in his Impreza, was just managing to stay in front. Young's cause wasn't helped when his Escort suffered a broken drive shaft in 16 and a bent suspension strut on 17. That followed a near miss when he almost went into a house. He didn't stay for tea. Now here's a sharp corner, and there's a car that simply couldn't take it. BBC commentator Tony Jardine and Sun journalist Stephen McKinley were well and truly wedged. A case of poachers turned gamekeepers. Their misfortune was noted by the rest of the field. The hold-up forced the stage to be abandoned. Fourth overall and working to close the gap in the Formula 2 race, Alain Auray, though it wasn't a smooth ride.
Very, very difficult, the bumps for Clio. No, the Clio is good car, it's championship French, no for championship English.
So you don't have bumps in France?
Yes, no bumps in France.
Really?
No. It's man very bumps.
Clearly a Frenchman who doesn't like things that go bump in the night. Meanwhile, Alistair McRae was counting down the stages to victory in the F2 Championship.
3, 2, 1, go. Into flat left, 150. Flat right minus early.
McRae and co-driver David Senior were proving an irresistible combination.
Easy left plus and flat right. .300. Care, crest and medium right bridge. Opens. 50, K right. And flat right on crest into left on crest and K right.
Meanwhile, Gwyndaf Evans was looking good for his first championship round win of the year. After 6 months of hard rallying, was Evans about to enjoy his first taste of victory champagne here. And overall leader Frank Marr was also on the verge of a first championship victory. And so Saturday dawned, the Manx Rally into its final throes. Would the tide turn for the leading contenders? As it turned out for Jarmo Cuteletto, the Manx had saved a little something for the weekend. With the leading places seemingly sorted out, the focus of interest on leg 3 turned to the fight for 5th. De Mavius and Cuteletto were separated by just 5 seconds. The Finn was determined to overhaul his Belgian rival. With 6th place seemingly assured, though, disaster struck. His wheel jammed, his car rolled over and died. Cuteletto's impressive challenge was at an end.
We have a brake problem, and when we came this corner, and I start braking the brake disc limits, and it's clogged the front, and we came straight on the wall.
Philip Young and Trevor Cathers were engaged in a 2-car contest for the Group N Production Cup. But with just 3 stages to go, Young suffered a puncture, hit a bank and lost valuable ground. The towel was thrown in. And so Trevor Cathers it was who was left to drive home his advantage and take a notable British Championship and Dunlop Tarmac Group N double.
Trying to hold our position. We have somebody 25 seconds behind us, so still got to have a bit of caution on board as well. Just on the handbrake there to tweak it through. Waving at some of the guys that unfortunately retired earlier on in the event.
Left 4.
Guadagnandri corner, down the box, then into another bale just there to slow us down. Bit of mud, took the handbrake and through.
Bringing back a few memories, Richard, driving the Peugeot here.
Yeah, it does a bit. It's not far off a very similar car to what I drove here in 1991, which is obviously like quite a long time ago. It gets a little bit getting used to, but we're getting there now.
So the last battle of the 1995 Mobil 1 Top Gear Championship ended in Celtic celebrations all round. Frank Marr was a most worthy winner, the first driver from the Republic of Ireland ever to conquer the Manx, his first international victory.
A big smile, Frank, eh? You relieved it's all over?
Absolutely, couldn't wait to get through that last stage. I think we lost more sweat in the last stage than we did the whole event. We're very happy to be here and first Southern winner. And
absolutely, yes, the first driver from the Republic to win this one.
yeah, absolutely. It was a tough event the whole way through, but cars stood up to it and we held on to it.
The Formula 2 cars had certainly given him a run for his money. David Llewellyn had sportingly stopped to check on his teammate Cutoletto, but the popular Welshman finished 7th overall and 5th in the championship. 42-year-old Alan Array has been one of the surprise stars of the season in his lively Clio. He has never been out of the top 6 in any of the 5 rounds. He finished 4th overall and 3rd in the championship. Third in the title table and 5th overall here, another fine performance from Gregoire de Mavius. He had made sure that Nissan won the Manufacturers' Championship. Ford was 2nd, General Motors 3rd and Renault were 4th. Gwyndaf Evans scored his first Formula 2 Championship win in the Escort. His 2nd place overall also earned him 2nd place in the British title battle. Let's have a look at the Welshman in action.
4 right long, 150. Flat right long, 70.
Congratulations, Gwyndaf, your first win in the Formula 2 category here in the championship this year, but what a good year.
It hasn't been so bad really. I mean, we were chasing for a win on the first round, and then in Ulster a month ago we were having a good old battle with Alistair, and yeah, it's really nice to have won on the island.
Well, the Scotsman didn't manage to beat the Welshman on this occasion, but Alistair McRae's 3rd place overall was more than enough to earn him the British Rally Championship crown. And to add to the family glory, Father Jimmy won it 5 times and Brother Colin twice. The Nissan team gave a very warm welcome to the latest champion from the clan.
Congratulations, the new champion. How does that feel?
Yeah, very good. It's been quite a long event. We haven't had to push too hard and had some problems yesterday, but it's just great to be here.
Was your heart in your mouth at all because you had to finish here well?
Yeah, I think there was a bit of pressure to start with, but once the rally starts then the pressure goes. We've been at a comfortable pace all rally, so I mean, no worries.
Not bad all year really.
Not so bad.
So the results of the final round of a superb season were: first in the four-wheel drive Escort, a very happy Frank Marr. He also won the Dunlop Tarmac Championship. Second, Welshman Gwendoff Evans, and third, Alistair McRae. The first all Formula 2 championship had gone right down to the wire, with the Scotsman claiming the crown ahead of two Welshmen, a Frenchman and a Belgian. Let's hope there was still some champagne left to take back to Scotland, to celebrate yet another triumph for a very famous family.
Open to a crest, into flat right, into flat left of a crest, 70. Keep left for 9 right round Bale. Keep left for 9 right round Bale. 70 over crest, slot 9 left round Bale by Kiosk. Slot 9 left round Bale by Kiosk. 50. Oh! Slot 8 right, no Bale, well held. Slot 8 right, no Bale. 50. Very late, 8 left.
Front right 5. 60 over crest, left 5 long over 60. And max right long. And max left over crest, 80. Left 4, fast. 200 to top. Left 6 to crest, 30. Right 4 in. Left 5 plus, 50. Whoa. Left 2 plus. Big off. Plus open. 80. Grid keep left, left 5, and right, left 1 plus. And then right 5, 50 caution, right 2 over grid. Then left 5 long, 50, left 5 long tightens, then right 4 plus.
50. 1 left, small jump, and 2 right plus, 250. 2 left, 50. Crest braking 100, short 5 left, 3. 30. Early 4 right minus, 150 twisting. 4 right down, braking 40, turn 5 left. 3 right tightens. And bridge square left. 50. Open right 30. Crest. And crest left
50. 30. Flat crest, 100. Flat left, 70. Flat right, 50. Easy left, 30. Flat right, 30 over crest. Easy right, slippy maybe, and easy left minus, 70. Care, medium right over jump, 50. Easy left, 30, flat right, don't cut, 70, easy right minus, on crest, 30, flat crest, into, flat left minus, straight 50, flat left, 70, slow easy right minus, and easy left, don't cut, 100, care, crest and medium right minus, grid, into, flat left and flat right, 30, medium left minus, 70, flat crest, 30, care, bumpy easy right minus,